Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Inked with Elegance by Christine J. I have a layout for you today and it'll be quick for you. It wasn't so quick for me trying to figure it out because I had pictures that I wanted to scrapbook and they were taken about 45 minutes apart, same location, but the sun had changed, the lighting in the area had changed, and so needless to say, I do everything on my phone when it comes to any type of color changes or corrections, and so I can't get the exact color match like you would if you used a computer. I don't own one. So anyway, I did the best I could, but every time I printed it, I didn't like it. It was either too bright or one was brown, one was another color. And so anyway, I finally got it printed how I wanted. And then, needless to say, even though I printed them both 8x10s, one was taken at a different angle, and then that was giving me a headache too. So anyway, I will spare you all the boring details of having to go through all of what I did to get everything prepared. But I did cut. I remembered I had these Cricut, it was Cricut brand paper, and I thought this would go perfect with my layout. So I went ahead and tried to cut down strips, and I cut them both the same. Interesting. Anyway, I cut them both the same, and it was about, they were both measured the same, but for some reason I wanted it to be exactly equal, and so I had a full 12x12 sheet, but I had to pick and choose where I was cutting it from, because then even after I cut it, it wasn't lining up. And then, you know, when you're gonna put it on both pages, then you start getting, well, for me at least, I get really picky. And so when I tried to match up the design on this side, as you can see, even though the paper is cut exactly the same, it's off here and here. So then if you switch it to the opposite side and you line it up, it's almost perfect. So yeah, that became a doozy too. So I've decided I'm going to put this down here, and I think I want to leave a skinny little border. Let me see if I need to move this up. I can't see the top of my camera on my phone, so I'm just going to hope. I'm gonna go ahead and just put these in place before I end up mixing them up again. I did like the gray that was on this side, but I didn't use it for a strip like this. So anyways, I'm going to just eyeball it and get a little bit of black down here at the bottom. Leave a little bit of black. And then I'm going to put this side too. Yeah, problem is obviously it won't line up on both sides perfectly, but sometimes even I feel like the 12x12 paper is not even the correct size or cut off. So we'll try the best we can. You know, if it's in a book, it's not going to be perfect, but I'm just trying to get it somewhat decent. Okay, my guess is that this paper is not fully squared off. anyway, that's that. And then I have my photos. What I did do is I printed several of the photo because I couldn't find any die cuts that I necessarily liked in Cricut. And I'm a stickler for style. Like, I want it to look a specific way. And so for me, it's just really hard finding one. I did find one that I used as part of my title, and it sort of looked the way, but I couldn't see having too many on the page. So anyway, what I did was same thing, I finagled this because initially I wanted us on one side and the kids on the other, but then when you try and put it side by side, you see how this line does not line up, and even if I moved it way up here, then this gate is way above that other one. So I needed to sort of get an optical illusion that, not necessarily that it was one giant gate, but when it was side by side, I wanted it to somewhat, your eye not get confused. So it was the same wall, like I said. This one was taken a little later than this one, about 45 minutes, different times. So yeah, you can see the lighting up here was a little washed out. And this gate had an arch, which I did like, but I just couldn't get it to line up. And so as I cut it and cut it and cut it, I finally decided to just stick with it. Stick with it being right where that is. So I'm going to get some pardon me, getting some two-way tape. I didn't really want to glue these down necessarily, so I'm going to use this two-way tape, I think. And I want it to be flush with one side, flush it with the middle, and somewhat even. So I need to butt it up to one side. And I kind of like those stitch marks, but there's kind of no sense trying to show them because my luck, they won't end up lining up on the back side. And you can see already that this paper, it's probably not going to be perfect, but I'm just trying to get it to the center as much as possible. And even in this case, I would normally not want to waste all of this paper back here. I would want to maybe trim it out so that I could save it. But even this, I don't like this hanging over. It has a little anyway, so like I was saying, I initially printed a whole bunch of them before I got the size that I wanted that would actually match. I printed it 8 by 10, but then it was done on a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so I had to do some trimming. And then yeah, I just kept not liking the way it was coming out. But since I had a whole bunch of them, I decided instead of finding die cuts that I could do print and cut or some kind of layered image, I decided that I would just cut out all the extras that I had from all the printing, because in this final one, it actually cut off this edge. And then in the other ones that I had printed, it cut off this side. And so anyway, I cut out the aliens, and I think I'm going to pop them up to give some kind of dimension. So I fussy cut around a few of them, and that's just going to be elevated on my page so that I can have some kind of interest without having to do too many die cuts or keep searching for one that wouldn't work. So that you might want to think about that in the future. If you have something interesting on your page, you can just print a couple of them so that you can add pop dots and be able to put that on your page still without doing some print and cuts or some die cuts. I'm gonna try to attempt to line that up just so that I can put the picture somewhat in the area that the other one is. Okay. Right. And then my wording also, I created some wording, and at first it was done in this color, but then I thought between this and this there was a whole lot of that, and I just didn't really care for it completely that color. So then I cut this color and I liked it. I liked it better, so that's what I'm going to do. With the center word, I'm actually doing a color mix between the two colors, but I need to actually adhere this further down because of how big the lettering is. I didn't want to make it too small, so I made it about that size. And so anyway, I'm going to glue this on. Ooh, I'm actually not going to trying to think, because I do have some pieces that I might slide under the edge, and if that's the case, I need it to not be stuck down fully, so maybe I will come in from the edge a little. Well, I know the center, I'm not going to put anything, so I can bring a little bit there. I'm going to move this for now, and I'm going to put a letter here just so I can see visually how much space I need. I had to move that so I could slide this over. Okay. So that's going to be about there. I'm going to try to line up this other side to where it meets in the middle. It helps a little at least. So this one I know that I can come to this center. Same thing. I don't want it to overhang this, so turn it over for a bit and try to push it backwards, because if not I'll have to trim it off, and that wouldn't be fun. Okay. Alright, so at least visually it sort of looks like this connects, even though it doesn't. And they sort of look like they're shaking hands, even though that's not really what is happening. But we're going to give the optical illusion that they are. I also have, from the back side of that alien paper, which at first I thought about using, you know, the alien paper, but then kind of was too busy for what I wanted, and I would have been too much having to match it up. So I'm flipping it backwards, which kind of reminded me of this tile. So I kind of want to do maybe some pieces under here, and I don't know if I want to do up and down like this and patchwork it like that. So I could do, hopefully you can see that, yep, over here. So I was thinking about doing that, or, yeah, it's hard. They're kind of like, they're more this way, so I would have to do it that route. Anyway, I think what I want to do is put the wording on first before I pop these up, because I don't want to be touching it when I'm done. Okay, so the wording is gonna say the chosen ones. And this was the little cut I decided that I found that I thought kind of went with it, because its face was very cartoony like theirs and not as serious as some of the other ones I've seen. So I tried to piece this together. It was a little kind of challenging, and this one is supposed to draw wiggles on the ears, but I never saw the option for the pen to pop up, so I kind of just drew it in myself. I'm not quite sure. I'm considering putting this down here somewhere. The wording will go up at the top, and I'm just going to lay it out first so that spacing is okay. So you can see how I did for the word chosen. I decided to alternate between the fluorescent, the highlighter yellow, and the highlighter green. I was trying to find font that would match what the word aliens is, but I couldn't find anything, so this was the closest that I liked anyway. And then I found out that it had these little cuts in it, so I was like, okay, I'll just cut it in these green colors, and then it'll show the black through. At first I was gonna do black, but since I did black for the background, I couldn't do that. So, and then initially when I was laying it out, I thought I would put this here because I thought it was gonna cover this here, to cover that kind of bright faded area, which, I mean, it looks okay. Or I could put it like that. Or like that. I don't really know. I don't know if I like it up there or down here. I could kind of just do it like that to block some of it. And then these, I initially thought about doing, way up here. See, like that. And then having the other batch of them down here. See, it's hard because it's optical illusion, because this looks like it's sideways like that, and then over here it's almost at an angle. So I considered even doing it at an angle here. Oops. Which would make tiles on both sides. Yeah, that was one of the things I considered. Anyway, maybe I should just at least secure down what I do know is going to be there, which is the wording. Ooh, this is a lot of little pieces. This wording strip. Note to self, if I ever use this lettering again, I need to make it bigger. Because to glue it is a pain in the butt. Seems like it's gonna be awfully boring to watch me get all the glue on these letters. Try to be as quick as possible. Am I doing it too close? These kind of remind me of a maze. Maybe I should make it crooked on purpose. I was on FaceTime with my cousin earlier. She's a crafter also, but she likes to do like hands-on crafts. And she's starting a new project doing lighter covers, sorry. And they're super cool. She's doing like eyeballs on them and everything. Really realistic. But so I kind of back and forth worked on trying to cut all the pieces for this while she was doing her lighter. And we used to craft all the time when she lived here, but ever since she moved away, you know, life happens. And so it's been a while. So it was fun to actually get to. I want to say she got more progress done than I did. I was kind of back and forth trying to, like I said, finagle this page, so it was kind of funny. what I would do if I didn't have this fine tip to apply glue, because I know I didn't always have them and it was a pain when you had small stuff to attach. These photos were taken at Walt Disney Studios in Paris. Not this past summer, but I want to say the summer prior to that. So far, I think I've only done one layout for that trip, so I figured another one was in order. I'll never get caught up, but that's all right. I don't really have a deadline, and if you don't get caught up, then you always have something to scrapbook. And I know time is not promised to anyone. We don't know how much time we have, but crafting is definitely soothing for my soul. As you see on my channel, I post crochet, I post scrapbooking, I also post videos of my son. He's a pretty talented musician, and I enjoy following along and going to anything that he performs at, because, you know, as a parent, it just makes you super proud to see them showing off their skills. And then, you know, I had a nephew that's a football player, and he's at University of Washington now, but he was at a local high school here, and it was fun watching him play, so I always posted those games as well. He was a quarterback, so hopefully in a couple of years, or maybe in a year, with, you know, QBs move on, maybe he'll get the chance to play. He was really good, and then he got hurt his senior year and had to recover from that, so we're just glad that he's, you know, doing so well. Okay, I think I'm gonna get some pop dots. Okay, I'm gonna put this on some pop dots. I hope this has inspired you to craft, and just know, when if you don't own a Cricut and you still like all the cuteness on your page, you can do something comparable to what I've done here. I used to draw all my elements prior, and so now that I do have a Cricut, I do try to use it. I had the basic one. My cousin got me the Air 2, but I hope to one day get a Maker. I feel like the possibilities for that one just seem endless. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna pop up and put this one here, This one was actually a cutout from this side for my extra print on that. But since it's the same characters, I just decided to pop it up and put it there. So I fussy cut around the hand so that, because that one had my son's arm in it, so I couldn't really use this character. And then you can see all the pieces that I had cut up, and then I no longer needed, so I got rid of it. I'm holding my finger out because I got it damaged over the weekend trying to help my husband yesterday. We were on the island of Maui, and we were trying to build my mother-in-law's cabinets, and I touched something trying to get the shelf off, and it ricocheted and guillotined my finger. So I won't spare you having to look at the rest of it. I just showed a bit of it. So I was trying to crochet, and it was kind of sore since it put pressure in that area holding my piece the way I hold everything to crochet. So today when my cousin asked if I wanted to craft, I was like, oh, okay, I can do scrapbooking because I won't need that finger. Well, I won't need to put too much pressure on it. I was gonna do this last, but since it's not in my way necessarily. Okay, that overhangs the page, but that's fine. Okay, add some interest. Okay. And then I initially had all these little triangles from cutting off, from punching out these. When I punched it, the corners were on there, and so I was gonna do like a little flag banner there, but it didn't work out. So I even considered using these little strips. I was gonna put them next to here, but not covering the words. It was gonna go somewhere else, like under here. And then I changed my mind on that too, so I put those strips away. It might come in handy eventually for something else. Now, the last thing to decide is these tiles. Maybe I'll just do straight up and down like this, because I do kind of like the way it looks against that I like the way it looks against the edge of the paper. Okay, then I'm gonna I used to think hexagons looked so fun to use, and I bought a bunch of different sizes, and then I did a page and I realized I had placed them all wrong. So now I try to be super cautious when I'm doing it, so that I don't do it all sorts of ways. close enough. Okay, I'm gonna flip this upside down. Normally I would give it some time to dry before I chopped it, but since I might use it. Actually, I probably could. Nope. That wouldn't work. It's fine. Okay. I'm gonna try to close this. I could put it up there, but what I should have done is put that up there and put the other two, so it would be reverse of that, but that's all right. Okay. I dropped that one in here, but what I could do I don't need all that. I was just too busy. So anyways, I think that's about it. The only thing I really have to add is the date. Which was June 6th. So, but I appreciate you joining me. I hope, like I said, that you learned something new with the printing extra of the same photo and cutting out the elements to add some interest or dimension. And please join me in the future. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate the subscribe, follow, likes, share with your friends. Any bit helps. Thank you and good night. Bye.